What's going on, boys and girls? Today we're going to talk about a fragrance from the house of Guerlain, and it is a women's scent, but due to the type of women's scents that have come out from that house, it may in fact be unisex or even masculine leaning. I'm not quite sure, but to the connoisseurs of Guerlain, they know this fragrance very well, and it's talked about quite a bit. So let's see what we're in for. Strap up. All right, welcome to the set bubble. I'm your host for the it's about 6 o'clock afternoon. From the house of Guerlain, we have Bleue. And the tough part about this one is Fragrantica has one that says it was launched in 1912, which is obviously the OG version. But there's another version that looks really close to it that says it was released in 2021. So I'm assuming, even though I got this on Surrender to Chance, that this is not pure OG. I'm sure the juice would have gone bad by then. But I am going to be doing a little bit of a sniff test before I see whether or not it's the reformulation, because they have slightly different DNAs. So I'm not really going to go into the score and the classification and all that until I've smelled the scent. So let's go right into initial impressions first, so I can get familiar with this scent profile. Skinny side down in this. You guys know normally I like to always have a sprayer that greatly impacts your experience with a juice, but we don't have it, so it is what it is. Okay. And I'm not really going to let this dry down too much because I need to narrow down which formulation I have here. So I'm giving you guys the right information on Fragrantica. So first I'm going to start with the obvious choice that it's the 2021 version. Let's see. Versus the older. They're very close. Yeah, this is new formulation. Okay. So, information on this. Women's fragrance classified as a eau de parfum concentration, 4.29. So mass appeal territory out of 5, but only 361 voights. Voights. Only 361 votes, so small sample size, but mass appeal score, and launched in 2021, Oriental Floral. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to say there's a certain level of kind of old school Chanel-ish, old school Guerlain, Coty, different stuff like that. Style of women's scents in a certain regard that have this very almost I don't know what the smell exactly is. I'm sure women in the comments can post, the scents that are associated with, but it's kind of this collaboration. It's a certain scent profile that, to my nose, smells like several different hygienic feminine products. So in one sense, it kind of has a fresh diaperish quality smell to it, where it's a bit Johnson & Johnson, a bit powdery, a bit sweet, a bit aldehydic, kind of this soft powdery vanilla, but overdosed with floral essence. But it just takes me to fresh diapers, a lot of baby lotions, like a lavender baby lotion, a Johnson & Johnson baby oil, cosmetic products, things like that. That kind of smell. So those aren't necessarily negative connotations for me, because I approach this as a male, so I don't have to wear it, so I can just more so appreciate it with art, from art for art's sake perspective. But to all my women out there, if you find yourself not liking the Coco Mademoiselle, Chanel Chance, Chanel No. 5 type stuff, some of the older stuff, or Shalimar and things like that, this definitely won't be in your wheelhouse. This is very old year historical feminine beauty, but the balance is perfection from a perfumery standpoint. It's very smooth. It's very linear in terms of how it presents itself, but there's a lot of cool facets. You have very tiny vanillic, 2 out of 10 vanillic with an overdose of powdery, almost aldehydic, florally, irisy, rosy, kind of that texture of the velvetness of the flower type of scent. It's very bright. It's very potent, but it has an air to it. Crazy projection, crazy sillage. Not beast mode, but right before beast mode. It's there. So I imagine a woman would probably get anywhere from 3 to 5 feet of projection and the same amount of lingering, long-lasting sillage, even though in the air, this really benefits from a gust of wind to my nose. Differences between the test strip is it feels a lot more cosmetic-y on skin. It gets a little bit more vanillic, a little more violety, irisy, and it's a lot more powdery on my skin. Let's go ahead and switch screens. And anise. Okay, I do make out that anise note. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, anise has the odor profile of a rich anethol reminiscent of licorice. This is very airy, though. It doesn't have that kind of blackishness to the licorice note. Belongs in the same family sense as tarragon and fennel. I do get a hint of that. Kind of this anise carnation is very much present in this fragrance, probably by about 30 to 40%. And then this neroli iris violet vanilla thing is very much like the backbone of it by 60%, I would say. Benzoin and tonka, don't feel it as much. Neroli, I definitely get a overtone of neroli and bergamot, just as kind of this heavy, bright lift on this scent profile. It's nice, but it's one of those scents where, as a woman, if you did not take a very thorough shower or you're having a tough day and you're perspirating, if any funk gets added, just like with a baby's diaper, if they soil that thing and you smell that scent profile with the fresh baby diaper scent profile, it's very negative connotation. So funk and skin perspiration and stuff like that would just ruin a scent profile like this. So I would very much wear a scent like this on clothes. Therefore, it doesn't interact with the skin chemistry too much. Even though I might lose a little bit of the fidelity of the scent profile, it'll stay consistent and won't get funked up, if that makes sense. Good, beautiful scent, though, above average. Not by much to me. It is somewhat generic in that if you've smelled this style profile, as a lot of you women have, you'd probably be more comfortable moving into a Chanel fragrance because they're a little bit more modernly timeless. This does have a bit of a historic weight to it. You know, you feel like the most beautiful woman in the 80s or 90s. You know, that kind of come home after work, dinner's ready, you're wearing a full one-piece dress, your hair's done, you look good. You know, the beautiful angelic housewife type of scent profile, or the aspiring young female ambitious woman who's going out into the world becoming a woman. This is a starter pack to that in a very entry-level niche way. The balance is spot on, but this fragrance is subject to the elements. When elements interact with it, nature, skin, oil, and stuff like that, it could really ruin this scent profile. That's why I would wear it on skin. Let's see what they compare this to. Outside of Guerlain fragrances, there's not many connections other than Bala Versailles, which I believe that fragrance was worn by Michael Jackson or Prince, if I'm not mistaken. And then Yop Le Bain, which I have not smelled. I'm very surprised. It's probably because there's so many Guerlain older versions that this imitates, and that's still present in the Fragrantica database, that we don't have more options to look at in terms of comparisons. Yeah, let me look at the performance real quick. So very long lasting and strong. So 6 to 8 hours seems very reasonable with pretty good strong sillage, like I said before. So that seems to be in line. let's wrap up with some closing thoughts here. Fall, winter, or spring, summer nights with a breeze. This fragrance benefits from a breeze. It sits in the upscale casual to semi-formal realm. I see this as work, business attire, housewife, even elegant young woman going out into the world. But again, that's historical. Like, I feel like today, if a young, aspiring 20-year-old woman went into the work field with this on, she would smell old school. But it is a very good scent. And it's very nice to the collection. Sprays on this, I'm going no more than 4 as a woman, I think. 4 seems very appropriate to last you pretty much an 8-hour shift. The price point on this is around $100. I think this one in particular is a bit harder to find, but you can totally find it around the $100 mark pretty much all day long. It will be a new formulation. I even see some dipping as low as 60, 70 bucks on like eBay and stuff, but take that stuff with a grain of salt. I would never really shop on eBay for fragrances. Alternatives to this would really be much of the Chanel line. Chance, 5, and Coco Mademoiselle in that realm. Or even some Chanel private line stuff. There's a lot of unisex, kind of historical homage type fragrances that I would recommend. Even some of the lighter renditions of Shalimar are somewhat reminiscent. This is a very good scent. I give it an 8 as a women's scent, but I think for many women, it would be below a 6 unless you're into Guerlain. You have somewhat of an educated nose in perfumery. You're quite a collector. This would be kind of like a staple, old school, timeless fragrance. So I give it just an 8 and nothing higher than that. And that's from my standpoint as someone who's smelled a lot of fragrances. This is a very timeless DNA to me. But yeah, so I think for most of you, it's 7 and down. But for me, I give it an 8. I do enjoy it. And I would enjoy it on a woman. You know, this is kind of that white dress feel of timeless but historical femininity at its genesis. Let me know in the comments section if you guys have rocked this. Ladies, what do you think about this fragrance? I know in the Guerlain line, a lot of you don't make it to this fragrance because you got to go through your Shalimars, your Jickeys, your Mitsukos, and then even a lot of the Aqua Allegoria line and some of the more modern renditions and things like that. But I want to know if you've put your nose to it. Again, this is Guerlain's Bleue. For women, Eau de Parfum concentration, new 2021 formulation. And sound off in the comments if you've tried this scent. And even men, have you tried some of the feminine scents from Guerlain? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me. I do talk back. Make sure you join my free Discord server if you want to get a more engaging and thorough experience to your fragrance journey. The community is over 60 people and growing, and I do a lot of exclusive things in that chat, as people can attest to, that I do not do on my public channel. So with that being said, appreciate you guys for joining. Sound off in the comments. I'm going to throw 2 videos up that you might enjoy so you can continue binge watching that fragrance content and helping your journey, because I got to go, but you guys can stick around for as long as you'd like. Until next time, hope you guys stay blessed and peace.